any more technical difficulties between the two teams. So, as we have seen across different regions and in the Greener Premier League as well, we're going to see that fan out of putting the top laner up in the top lane. Watch the entrance. You see that bouncing bomb. Just wrecking the little Karma a little bit early on. But we're going to see that fan out between the two teams just to spot for any cheeky invades coming in. But as usual, nothing much is going to take place early on except for these bombs being consistently thrown at Karma's face.
Yep, so just this human line of vision, just to make sure that nothing sneaky gets in. You know, early invades have really become unpopular due to the changes to the first blood reward, where any kills early on before about 2 minutes in the game, or before 4 minutes in the game rather, have been diminished. But nonetheless, you really want to work as a team to make sure that you know where the enemy jungler is, just so that you give your lanes that little bit of information where they can play super aggressive, push up, get the CS and experience advantage, and that's why you set up this early human line of vision. So right now we'll probably see D-Dan just step out a little bit, or not, you know. He has vision of SOFM, so he's happy. He knows where SOFM is.
So on top of that, with the changes to First Blood Gold, we've also seen changes to Vision, being the inclusion of trinkets, and also a lot of supports haven't been buying those early wards, which has really stopped teams from invading early on. We did see Chowie take a little bit of harass in the mid lane early on against Starfall, but not going to be too much that he can't regenerate early on. Ziggs does fairly well in terms of lane control, however I feel like Karma can really match that power in the mid lane fairly easy early on.
Right, so interesting move by NFL right there. They put a ward, Mew puts a ward at the blue buff of SGS, and they have vision of the jungler, but they don't get the push going on in bottom lane, so maybe a bit of miscommunication there, because with the jungler so far at top, you would assume that Sivir and Alistar would just push their lanes, but that's not what's happening. In fact, SGS is the ones that have gotten the push on.
And you can see right there in the top lane, this is something Ben W was talking about, how he is really confident of this Singe against Shyvana matchup, especially early on, where he feels like Singe is significantly stronger than Shyvana. It just showed there in the trade against Mew, where he was able to take Mew down to less than half health, while stay above half health himself, and force Mew to use his health potion early on just to stay at the same health range as Singe in the top lane.
So very interesting there, and we understand, or something to take note of rather, is that, you know, when these fringe picks enter, it's always important to know that since they haven't been on the scene for a while, sometimes players can be caught off guard just by the amount of damage, or, you know, the skills really that they can bring to people. And great job so far. Some actually
does get caught out here by Violet. Has to flash away. That was a flash pulverized coming from Violet, but here comes the flash coming from Elise. Gonna jump down on Talia, uses the flay closer to the tower. First blood will go to Sivir. Turn around coming from D-Dan to pick up a kill for himself onto SOFM on Elise. Violet is definitely gonna go down here. Chronix looks to pick up that last kill with Fishbones. Not gonna be enough just yet. Gonna have to rely on one more knockout coming from D-Dan, and that'll be a double kill in the bot lane for Jarvan with a fantastic counter gank coming in by D-Dan.
Right, so interesting move right there for the team, for NFL really to go so aggressive, knowing that Jarvan started blue, he would be at red, but they had Elise there for the backup, but they used all their gap closers, and combos, you know, without having vision of Jarvan yet, knowing that he was coming in. SGS able to turn that around with the great counter gank. 2-1 to them, both kills on actually D-Dan, so he's going to be very happy in the jungle, and 2 assists to Jinx. However, CS advantage is still in her favor, despite the 1 kill on Sivir.
So due to the fact that Chronix wasn't able to stay alive in that lane, and it was in fact Hallelujah who went down in that gank coming in from SOFN, a really aggressive gank coming out from SOFN. Violet actually flashed really early for the pulverized into the headbutt to knock back Thresh into the team of Neo Evolution Esports for Lewis. but because Chronix was able to stay alive and healthy in that lane, he has been able to shove it into the tower of New Evolution.
Here comes the combo.
Here comes the combo coming from Violet, but no follow-up from Starfall or Elise.
Right, so interesting move right there. I feel that the rotations by SOFM could be a little bit better. He had already visited bottom, but knowing that Alistar had went in so early, he still showed himself, and that gives a lot of information to the other lanes. You can see Ben W not afraid to just spam that mana, clear the waves, get into a bit of a tussle because he just saw SOFM at the bottom. However, with the back of Starfall having that one kill, picked up the Vamp Scepter, spell shields the death sentence perfectly, so she's going to be very happy to just sit in the lane and heal all that back up.
Starfall stepping on a chomper there for absolutely no reason, taking
that was a little weird.
Yeah, very weird. Good use of the spell shield to not only bait out the chompers, but also negate the crowd control and damage coming in from Thresh's death sentence. But he just walked straight back in onto the chompers, not understanding that short 500 range of Silver there. Taking a little bit of harass coming in from Chronix, but it's nothing that Alistar can heal up in this lane. You do see BenW once again not afraid to just duel it out with Mew, taking him down below half health once again. Not afraid to lose health of his own either.
Yeah, so again we see the jungle focus very heavily on bottom lane. SOFM and DDAN have basically spent their first two ganks in here. We see the
Lancer gank coming in. DDAN's gonna jump in but gets knocked out by Alistar. He gets kicked back in the tower. That's not the person you want to be kicking back into your team though. Very easy for DDAN to get out of this one. The SOFM's gonna go aggressive. There goes the boomerang back. Also the teleport coming down from BenW. Starfall is gonna get taken out by Chronix, who also is exhausted. Violet's the next kill coming in for the Singapore Sentinels. There goes SOFM. He'll get taken down, and there's nothing much Karma can do to help her allies in this situation. Fantastic gank coming in from the Singapore Sentinels, and counterplay coming in from not only BenW but DDAN and Chowie as well. This will also lead to an early game dragon.
Right, so what we saw right there is just SGS being a lot more confident and a lot more decisive. They
Shit now in a lot of trouble. Has to step on the Trompers thanks to that death sentence. Gonna try and shut down Hallelujah for a second. DDAN misses the knock up there, as you do see Chronix will flash in to pick up that kill.
Right, so Karma Chin successfully delays or, you know, stalls out the dragon, but pays with his life for that. And as I was mentioning, very decisive call by SGS, knowing that bottom lane would still be the focus. Not only do they send BenW with the teleport and Ghost down there to ensure the kill, Chowie with the global presence with his Mega Inferno Bomb, and his roam down as well. He walked all the way. Beat Karma with her speed, mind you. So again, SGS just making that call, being very ready for the aggression that would come out from an Alistar lane, right? We saw Hallelujah get knocked around a little bit, and SGS is just there to capitalize when the cooldowns are down.
I was very surprised that Full went for the pulverized headbutt in onto DDAN and Hallelujah, the two champions with a large amount of crowd control, and DDAN didn't use his flag spear combo to get into the lane. He actually took the Lantern Express from Hallelujah to get into the lane, so he still had his crowd control and escape abilities ready, along with his damage abilities, and so did Hallelujah. Hallelujah only used his his Dark Passage to allow DDAN to close the distance.
Right.
When they knocked back DDAN, that allowed him to draw all the damage from the side of Full Lewis, allowing Chronix and Hallelujah to dish out as much damage as they can, and turn it around as soon as we saw the knockout coming in.
Whoa,
bottom lane, SOFS coming up, but Shin in the meantime has been caught out by DDAN and Chow in the mid lane. Now SOFM still going really aggressive onto Hallelujah, but Chronics is gonna get the turnaround. Nice play coming out from Hallelujah there. The zap will miss Violet. Death Sentence will hit a spell shield, being procced by Silver there. SOFM has spent too much time in this bottom lane, and he's just gotten nothing out of it. He's been taken down in a 2-on-3 situation there.
Right, and we saw in the mid lane, Chowie and D-Dan actually catching Shin in a rotation there, knowing again that, well, okay, so some action going on top. Dragon versus Mad Scientist.
Ben W actually getting taken down really low, has to pop his ultimate to try and get away from himself. Has been ignited by Mew so far, but doesn't have the speed to chase down Mr. Poison.
And drop down this guy.
Flash.
Yeah.
Use his flash to try and catch up to Ben W there. Ben W didn't pop a single summoner spell, just his insanity potion. Grant himself that bit of regeneration and a little bit of tankiness to escape from the dragon up there, but to be fair to Ben W, he was doing a little bit of dirty farming since majority of the focus has been on this bottom lane. It does look like SOFM once again wants to rotate bottom.
Yeah, so good job by Mew, you know, actually getting the CS lead just a little bit, but stopping that Singe dirty farming, as we mentioned, that proxy farming. However, overall the picture is looking grim for NFL. Just 10 minutes in, and it's already about a 4k gold lead. And the big story is really this Jinx. Chironics already 4 kills and 3 assists up, just the 1 kill on Sivir. Big CS lead as well. This is gonna turn ugly real quick.
Single percentiles, I feel as well, have more damage coming into these 5-on-5 team fights and much more sieging power than Full Lewis really have. I felt like Full Lewis really needs to get their advantage in the laning phase to start team fighting as a team. But now that they're 4,000 gold behind this early in the game, they're gonna have to make some serious picks as the Death Sentence barely misses from
just
Hallelujah.
At the side there, and you know, Chironics has the red buff now, and you could see that just with a few auto attacks, as we mentioned, just that the 4 kills he's been able to pick up the BF sword. Is this gonna be a dive?
D-Dan's gonna jump in, knocks up. There goes the ultimate cataclysm coming out from D-Dan. Deletes Karma from the map. Couldn't even call on his abilities in time, as we do see the knock-up coming in onto Hallelujah. Pops the ultimate onto his Alistar. Hallelujah's gonna get locked down. Exhaust Ultimate, but Starfall is so low. Chronics almost picks up a kill there. They're gonna turn this one around. It's a 2-on-2 situation between Chronics, Hallelujah, SOFM and Violet. SOFM taken down so low. Pow Pow might do the trick. Sorry, Fish Bones will do it. Picks up the double kill with 1 auto attack. Death Sentence will land onto Violet. May not have the play, does actually have the play for that, but Chronix has been tanking the tower for way too long. And once again, Full Lewis sending SOFM to the bottom lane again, but not able to do anything about it. And fantastic use of Hallelujah's abilities to turn that fight around once again.
Right, so we talk about how NFL had to get the advantage in the lanes. You can see where SOFM's focus is, but SGS is just so ready for them. And as we mentioned, the gold lead. How do you take down a Jinx with 4 kills, now 6? Well, you don't. You don't go and pick that fight, because that was a 2v3 that SGS won decisively.
Sivir right now, during that fight, wasn't incredibly behind in terms of item. The item disadvantage was a pickaxe to a BF sword.
Right.
With the help of SOFN, it shouldn't be a problem. Ben W is going to get locked down here. The Dragon Descent has been popped onto it. Does get locked down by the chains coming in from Karma. Does flip Shyvana away. The slow comes down from Shyvana. Ben W is actually going to run straight back into his down. The flames do miss from the Dragon once again. Now Karma's still alive. He is still alive. Mew is getting taken out by the poison. Once again, the bomb is coming out from Ziggs. Insanity Man is just not getting taken down today. He is a beast on this Singe in the top lane.
Wow.
He just mechanically positioned himself in between Shyvana and Karma there to not take any damage at all once the tower dive was initiated.
You know, you pick the brains of some of these top laners that just love the brawl, and they tell you, Doesn't matter how much health I have. It's the last 100 HP that really counts, and boy did he make it count. Just weaving in and out with that insanity potion speed, dodging some key skill shots that would have finished him off. Buys so much time for the rest of SGS to come and collapse, and SGS are just all over the map now, taking buffs. You can see that they're approaching tier 2 diving now.
So Fam in a lot of trouble, uses that repel, but he will still get taken down in the air by D-Dan. Single Sentinels with this huge gold lead have just been controlling the map incredibly well. D-Dan has been almost everywhere. Here comes another knockup onto Karma. Cataclysm has been used. Shins are in a lot of trouble. Now Mew also stuck in that Cataclysm. Gets the rubber ducky to the face along with yet another water bomb. Hallelujah has been on form with his rotations as well so far, but SGS have just really been dominating the map incredibly hard. As Chronic still taking on
this is turning into a bloodbath.
Has been a bloodbath.
And SGS are the joyful butchers.
They sure are. And there goes another death sentence from Hallelujah. This time, not going to connect with anyone. He's been a little bit more accurate with the death sentence to the face so far. Not anywhere from Violet goes in for the flash headbutt pulverize. Chronic still gonna take the Lantern Express to try and get out of this part. Pops the ultimate, the Super Mega Deck Frog, and the Mega Inferno Bomb has been used. Chronic's gonna try and take down a skill for himself as he goes down though. But here comes Ben W with the teleport, flips Violet away. Charlie's gonna join the fight as well. Pops that auto attack, will take down Karma. We will also see SFM get taken down at the same time, but there goes a double kill onto Ziggs by the Single Sentinels, and once again, realizing that this heavy aggressive bottom lane from Full Lewis is gonna go all out against Chronix. Fantastic rotations from Ben, but the Death Sentence will miss. Fantastic rotations from the Single Sentinels, rotating Ben W, D-Dan, and Chowie to the bottom lane once they realized that Chronix was in trouble.
Right, so again, playing off the fact that their Jinx is so far ahead, they know that NFL will want to shut down Chronix, and they just rotate so well. You know, I mean, NFL did have vision of them in the mid lane, and Chowie did contribute, you know, globally, quasi-globally with his ultimate. They did get Chronix, but by that time, the damage had been done. Chowie comes in, bounces his way happily to a double kill. Got the tower as well, so SGS is just all over this map.
They are 18-2 in terms of kills. They are 4 towers up and a dragon up. They're actually waiting. Actually, no, the dragon has already respawned. It does look like D-Dan is trying to take it down by himself. And they've just really been controlling the map. Now Violet's in a lot of trouble. He's gonna get locked down by the choppers and the flay. He's gonna get taken down by the flip as well.
Coming in this. Chronix is still going.
He's still going on to Mew here. Super Mega Death Dragon. And then down to the dragon. Yet another kill for the Single Sentinels. Now Shin's in a lot of trouble. Mega Inferno Bomb will miss, but that doesn't even matter. Just the spear hits coming in from Jarvan. Just the pokey will be enough to take down from there.
NFL has no place on Summoner's Rift where they can consider safe. Not their jungle, not their turrets, and soon, I hate to say it so early, probably not even their Nexus.
Not even with this mobile team comp of Full Lewis have they been able to survive this early game. They were shut down early in the bottom lane. They tried to make these aggressive plays. It's just that the Single Sentinels rotations were just 5 times better, able to stop the ganks coming out from Full Lewis, and they were able to do it multiple times as well. And the gold lead is now 14,000 gold in favor of the Single Sentinels.
Yeah, and we look at towers as well. 5-0. Dragons, I don't think NFL has even smelled the dragon. SGS has just taken that. And in fact, we talk about jungle control as well. SGS has taken both the blue and red of NFL for the past round of buffs, and with the outer turrets down, well, excuse me, there's still the top outer turret left. That'll probably be SGS's next focus, but really, honestly, they can push whatever lane they want, and Singe can just happily split manipulate the lane on his own because BenW has the teleport, and we've seen him use it to such effectiveness. They collapse on Chironics, BenW comes from the back, Chowie from the side, really, and there's the cleanup.
So, Neo Evolution Esports full Lewis. It looks like a really dire situation for them. Hallelujah might be able to grab a death sentence on somebody that tries to come for this drag. Baron, sorry, not able to connect. Full Lewis, I think they just have to give this one up or try and get a steal off coming in from SOFM. Anything else would just probably lead to another catastrophic team fight once again. They really need to just try and steal this one and get away with that. That's about all they can do in this situation.
Desperation play really by SOFM to try and repel in, and the good news is that
onto Karma. Mega Inferno Bomb will only hit SOFM though. Mew now in the back lines of the Singapore Sentinels. Chronic's in a lot of trouble after that headbutt pulverize coming in from Violet. BenW is just walking all over three members of Full Lewis. Karma has to flash away from D-Dan. The cow will be the first to go down, then D-Dan, but BenW will flip in Shyvana into his entirety. Now Chronix is chasing down onto Karma. The zap will miss though, but will get the last auto attack coming in from Fishbones to take down Karma. And that'll be a double kill for Chronix and also a 4-for-1 trade for the Singapore Sentinels, and a great initiation coming in from D-Dan. However, it just shows there, SGS still need to be a little bit careful. Full Lewis had the upper hand, especially when Mega Inferno Bomb missed coming in from Chowie.
Exactly, a little sloppy from SGS right there. Probably feeling, you know, their lead. The numbers don't lie, 25-3 now. But indeed, very sloppy play from them, and you know, they can get away with it because they're so far ahead. But as you mentioned, I think one of the keys right there was also the positioning. One person hit only by the Mega Inferno Bomb. But on top of that, this early on in the game, Baron really hurt. And SGS actually got quite a bit of a beating there. So props to NFL for capitalizing on that moment. They got a consolation prize. Starfall managed to kill the Prince of D-Dan, but still, this is a huge mountain that NFL will have to climb. SGS will have to, you know, go and make such mistakes again like six times, pretty much.
Not to mention as well, Mew has picked up a Blade of the Ruin King, which is to be expected against a Singe in the top lane. Blade of the Ruin King just provides Shyvana with so much damage, sustain in lane, and also the ability to chase down Singe and deal a lot of damage to a tanky champion like Singe, especially when he has very little resistances but a ton of health. However, due to the fact that Singapore Sentinels are this far ahead, this early in the game, that Blade of the Ruin King is going to set Mew back so far behind just because he's not going to be able to take the damage from these 7, 6, 9 kills on the different players on the Singapore Sentinels so far.
We see SOFM try to make this still. No!
That's a lot of damage going into SOFM. Here comes the teleport. Needed! There goes the nice clutch bouncing bomb coming in from Chowie there to pick up the kill onto SOFM. There was absolutely nothing he could do.
Chowie the bouncer, guys. I'm telling you, it's legit. As it is.
He is the bouncer of the Baron Pit.
He is the bouncer of the Baron Pit. He says, you want to come in for the steal? How about no?
BenW barely has any tanky items. He just has a Negatron's cloak and a ton of health. More going for that ability power.
Raw HP, raw AP right there. Because he's so far ahead, it doesn't even matter. And as you mentioned, Shyvana Mew with that Blade of the Ruin King first item, it does give her that damage, but effectively that means NFL, with the exception of Alistar with his ultimate, have no front line.
Once we see BenW complete his Rylite's Crystal Scepter, he will be able to slow down everybody on New Evolution.
It's gonna be chaos.
It will be chaos.
Bloody chaos.
With Chronic so far ahead, he's even picked up a Phage for himself, an item which we have seen a few AD carry players pick up when it was first changed to give you movement speed when you first to give you movement speed instead of slowing somebody down when you auto attack somebody with NW. Looks like SFM wanted to try and catch him out, not even daring to go close.
Yeah.
Right now, but Phage being picked up by Jinx, it's not a bad item for an AD carry.
Yeah, I like that item by actually for Jinx. Ooh.
But here comes a flash. Death Sentence coming in from Hallelujah. Will play back. Karma into the team. Will get taken down immediately. SOFM getting taken down really low. Dina in a lot of trouble coming from Mew, but Mew himself in a lot of trouble as well. Nice play once again from Hallelujah. Going into the Death Sentence, Dina will airball his flag spear combo to knock up the spider there, but Violet will be the only one escaping from that fight alive. But that should be game for the Singapore Sentinels. They will just batter down onto the door of Full Lewis's Nexus and turrets, and that will be an easy sweep for the Singapore Sentinels. Dominating performance against Neo Evolution Esports Full Lewis in this first game of Week 3 of the Greener Premier League.
Right, so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. SGS with the 30-3 game right there. Ooh, that's